Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, April 17th, 2019. Can't believe it. We're here at the Pretty Citrus Club at a completely different table than I'm used to, but best table in the house. I'm with my friend, Orange County property appraiser Rick Singh is in the house. Welcome to the show, my friend.
I am fired up and ready to go.
Fired up. So let us know you can hear us and see us. Give us a thumbs up, a heart. We always like to do that because we don't want Rick to tell us about Orange County Real Estate 101 if we don't know. Frederick Williams, what's up, buddy? Dave Fraser, good show yesterday, but give us a heart and a thumbs up. I did a whole show once where they couldn't hear us. Oh, wow. Good, I got one. So I would not want them to not hear
Scott.
your wisdom. Scott, what's up, buddy? Tyler, what's going on?
Yeah.
All right, so welcome to the show. We've been trying.
Thank
This
you.
is a big episode for us. This is episode 350.
Yeah, man, I'm starting to feel like a redheaded stepchild.
I know.
I've been watching this show, and I'm like, when is Ted going to invite me to this show? You know?
Oh, see, he's already dishing it out. I like it. I deserve it. No, I saved a great number for you.
I love
right?
it. I love it. You know, I actually Googled 350 to see if there was anything famous or infamous about 350, and there is nothing.
You're famous. You're famous. All right, so give us. Everybody always loves to hear an origin story, right? We see you in the public. You're in the public eye. You're the property appraiser for Orange County. But you know, I don't know if anybody has heard you talk about your background. So
what do you mean? I was born and I became property appraiser.
There it is. See, that's what I just told him not to say. So this is what's going to be happening.
So
the next
Ted, I've got an
25 minutes.
interesting and a very humbling history. I was born in Georgetown, Guyana, which is a small English-speaking country in the northern tip of South America, Venezuela. I was raised there by very humble parents. My father died when I was 10 years old. My mother relocated to New York City, so I grew up in the Bronx, New York.
The Bronx.
Yes, elementary school, PS 64, 170th Street and Walton Avenue, for all my Bronx friends out there. Went to the prestigious Aviation High School in New York City. But it was a great upbringing. My mother landed in this country at John F. Kennedy Airport, not knowing a soul. I believe $20 in her pocket.
Wow.
God bless her.
She's got a real great immigration story.
This is an immigrant story that is off the chain.
Awesome.
I remember it was a Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, I should say. And imagine a 10-year-old kid leaving, the tropics of the equator and landing in John F. Kennedy in the frigid weather. I was mesmerized by really a kaleidoscope of lights and sounds and smells that I'd never experienced before. But the ironic thing was, or the interesting thing was, my mother went looking for work that Monday morning and came back home with 3 jobs as a maid.
Wow.
And took all 3 jobs and raised us.
How many of there were you?
So there was 3 of us remaining. I have a total of 7. I'm the youngest of 7 siblings, but there were 3 of us still at home. And she raised us the best she could. She worked 3 jobs as a maid to make ends meet. So it's really, really a tremendous immigrant
She came
story.
here, right, to live or figure out the American dream.
Of course, she
and
came
then
here.
hard work was not. It was in her DNA. She worked hard.
It was in her DNA, and she instilled that in all of us. And very happy to say that all of us are very successful. And
What did you want to be when you grew up originally?
Property appraiser, man.
You did not.
So I wanted to really go to medical school, and I went to a very prestigious aviation high school, which is a segue. But got a scholarship, but could not afford to go to college because it meant for my mother to take another job to buy books and so on. So I opted for the U.S. military, and I became a soldier in the U.S. Army.
I didn't know you're a veteran.
I'm a veteran.
Thank you so much for your service.
Yeah, I'm a
That's
68J. I worked on the Cobra and the Apache helicopter weapon system. So I was a smart kid, worked on computers when computers weren't even available to the public. Worked on the weapon system, and then left the military and relocated to this place called Orlando. I got here pretty interesting. So here I am, packed. The military had moved all my belongings. It was my wife and 2 kids. And we were ready to go to Houston, Texas. So my brother calls me from New York and he says, hey, I hear about this place called Orlando. Let's check it out. This is 1986. Let's check it out. And I'm like, Orlando, have you ever been there? He said, no. I said, neither have I. I said, have you been to Florida? He said, no. I said, neither have I. I said, well, this is perfect recipe, perfect storm. Let's do it.
I love it.
So I jumped in the station wagon with the wife and 2 kids, and we drove to Orlando. And fell in love with this amazing place. Bought a business, became an entrepreneur, and
I didn't know that either.
Yes, yes.
See, I was telling me I have no idea. I don't do any research,
Yeah,
so
that's all right.
I
It's
just
all
know
good.
you personally.
Yeah, bought an automotive business and ran it for a few years.
An
Automotive
business.
repair business called Total Automotive.
You
yes.
can repair cars
I
too?
can fix anything,
No
man. I'm a
way.
MacGyver at heart.
You are a MacGyver. So what did you say, all right, so I've had enough of business ownership? How long did you do that for? And then what was the next move?
Yeah, so one of my customers, ironically, in this business was a state legislature. And he essentially was doing his political thing, and he ran for property appraiser. He became property appraiser, and the day after his election, he came to my shop to pick up his car, and we got to talking, and I congratulated him, and I told him, hey, I'm gonna come hit you up for one of those government jobs. Here, you guys got great benefits and so on. And I was joking totally. He got serious. He says, anytime, I have observed your work ethics, and I would love to have you, blah, blah, blah. The economy went south, and we closed our shop. And I started looking for work. I think Lockheed Martin had offered me a position because I worked on the Apache's Cobra helicopter. I didn't want to do that. So I called the property appraiser at the time, Rich Crotty, and got an entry-level position. I think I made $17,000. Rich, you underpaid me back then. but it was a great opportunity. So it's an entry-level position. Worked as a field appraiser at the property appraiser's office.
So you went out?
Yes, went out, knocked on doors. Paramore and those are my neighborhood.
You sweat like crazy.
Oh yeah, got to meet the people firsthand. And got to learn the trade and learn the craft. But the benefit that I saw, Ted, was the education opportunity. So I went to night school, I went to evening school, and I got state certified as a state certified appraiser. And then I worked for a guy in Winter Park for free almost for a year, just to learn the craft. And then I went out on my own. That entrepreneurial spirit was still in me. So I went out on my own and started an appraisal firm called Abacus Appraisal Services back in the day. And timing is everything. People say,
absolutely.
Yeah,
everything.
we talk about real estate. People say location. I say timing.
Timing.
So the
timing.
That's
in any business.
Yeah,
it's timing.
The timing was we hit it right, and we started an appraisal company, and then that blossomed into a real estate organization, a real estate office, and that blossomed into a mortgage company. So we had, again, the total concept of real estate.
You've got all of the background then.
Yeah, absolutely.
See,
absolutely.
I'm as surprised as you guys.
Yeah. So I ran that business for a while. The bottom fell out of the real estate market. And while that was going on, Rich Crotty had moved on to becoming the mayor of Orange County, a county commissioner that was out of work, got appointed as property appraiser, and had been there for about 12 years. I kept watching those elections every year, and you could barely scoot by. And I said to myself in 2008, I should say, 2008, when President Obama got elected, I got inspired and said, I want to serve. After hearing that a great speech that he gave, and I got bitten by the bug and decided to run for office in 2008. 2010, I went to the Sorensen Institute for Political Trading, and that's a story by itself. I'll tell that on show 1000.
Part number 2.
Again, it's an interesting story. Ran for office, and here we are.
So let's talk about the run for office. 2 people had questions. By the way, Sarah and David, I'll get your question as we start to talk about being property appraiser, because they had nice comments and questions. What was it like running for office the first time? Is this the first office you had run for?
Yeah. So let me tell you about the Sorensen Institute story right now. So I wrote the Sorensen Institute. I actually Googled how to run a political campaign, because I knew nothing about politics, to be honest with you. So I Googled how to run a political campaign, and up popped the Sorensen Institute for Political Trading. So I wrote these folks a nice, humbling letter. I'm going to run for office. And they sent me back just the nastiest letter that I thought, no, Virginia residents only. So I wrote them back again. I said, would you reconsider? I actually lived in Newport News, Virginia. When I was in the military, I went to Fort Eustis. Would you reconsider? No, Virginia residents only, and you have to be current. I sent another letter back to them with my daughter's birth certificate, because she was actually born in Virginia, and I sent a check. And the guy called me and he said, you're a persistent SOB, but congratulations, you're the first non-resident of Virginia to make it to the Sorensen Institute. So I went to the Sorensen Institute, learned the ins and outs of campaigning, got back to Orange County, and I think the day after I registered, the Orlando 50 Most Powerful, that magazine comes out, and the guy that I was running against, him and his wife, were either #1 or #2 power couple And I think he was in the magazine for, you know, the 15th or 20th, whatever, one of those numbers, most powerful people in Orlando. And here I am, Rick Singh, you know, this guy that nobody knows is running against him. But I had 2 years, so I started the grassroots campaign. I literally had 3 breakfasts. I didn't eat, but I asked for money, meeting people and introducing myself. When I wasn't doing that, I you know, stopped anybody that would talk to me and tell them I was running for property.
Well, you've never met a stranger.
Never met a stranger. That's true. And the community was tremendously responsive. I ran with the content. It is important for the property appraiser of Orange County to be a property appraiser and to know appraising.
I mean, that's so
That's a
funny
novel
that
idea, right?
Yeah, right? That wouldn't even occur.
Yeah.
Was the other person, I'm curious.
No, I'm the first qualified property appraiser in the history of Orange County.
Wow.
I'm the first minority to hold this position. I'm a lot of firsts.
You are a lot of firsts. All right, so since we're going to talk about that, let me ask David's question. Dave Fraser, who is a realtor, a local realtor, said, can you please teach the other property appraisers on how to build their websites that are more amazing?
I can. What they'd have to do, is it Ted that's asking that question?
That was David.
David, what they would have to do is elect me as property appraiser.
Oh, there it is. Because I have heard that. I heard ours is just, well, it is. I've been on it. It's so easy to use, and it's really, really, really user-friendly.
So people often say it's the best website in the state. I often correct them and tell them it's the best website in the world. 8.5 million visitors, 1 to 2 searches per second, 5 million unique visitors. This is an amazing website.
Look at that.
Yeah.
All right, so when you get it off, you win, right?
I win.
You win. So
I
this
win.
is a big deal.
I
Because you're winning against the person
running
who...
against a 12-year incumbent, I believe, a guy that's been in politics for about 30 years, held every office possible, had all the right connections, and I ran a grassroots campaign and was very blessed to win.
And now you get in, right? So
Now I'm
you
in
haven't held
office.
office before. Now what happens? Because it's what you think of, and then there's the reality of what happens when you get in.
Yes, I did my homework, but when I got in, what I found was all the senior staff, he had gotten positions in other counties. So there's no senior staff. So it's myself, very, very skeleton crew, and a tax roll is due coming up. So we had to, you know, we had to scrape and scramble, and we got our tax roll passed. And it was really baptism by fire, you know. I had been in the office. I'd been an appraiser for years. I'd been a review appraiser. I testified, I'd been an expert witness. So I was familiar with the technical aspect of the job.
Sure.
But the administrative part of it, of course, was always a challenge, and continues to be a challenge, you know, as any administrator will testify. But we function well today. I'm happy to say that we're ranked #1 in the state for accuracy of assessment, #1 in the state for defensive assessment, #1 for efficiency. So we are a lot of #1s in Orange County, so the taxpayers have a lot to be proud of.
And I think that, so tell us a little bit about the role of property appraiser.
Yeah.
I think people go, if you're in the real estate world, you're always looking at that website.
Yeah.
I mean, I am. I'm always looking at
So
it.
the role of property appraiser is to, I'll give you an example. You buy a home and an appraiser come out and buy and essentially value the property, value that home, that is sent to the bank, and the bank will lend money on it. I am the appraiser of the entire county, so I have to value the entire county and render a report. That report is, of course, sent to the Department of Revenue. They will really analyze that report and scrub the report and do an analysis on it and determine whether the report is qualified or eminently qualified report to pass or not. And we've passed every year. But you're talking, you know, in terms of billions and hundreds of billions. Last year, almost $190 billion of assets.
Wow.
That's broken up into 3 parts, of course: residential, commercial, and tangible personal property.
That's right. The tangible personal property
Yes.
used to get me when I was a business owner.
Of course.
I'd see that come in. I'm like, what is that? But so I think a lot of people don't also know how it all works in as far as the information that's reported. You actually have an entire team that goes out. I mean, it's not like you're sitting in the ivory tower and going, all right, well, this property is worth XYZ.
No.
You have a big team.
Yeah, firstly, no ivory tower. But yeah, we have a team of, when I took office, I believe it was 150. Today we're down to 140. We leverage technology tremendously. We're one of the leaders in the property appraisers world in technology. So we leverage technology tremendously and education. I'm proud to say that half of my staff are credentialed by way of designations. These are eminently qualified real estate appraisers that can go out in the free market and make a tremendous amount of money, but they chose to be public servants and serve the public. So that's speaking a mouthful when I say that I've got a tremendous
That's
staff.
awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me about Orange County itself. So there's so much growth. We've got all the stuff going on with I-4. We have all these people coming into town. I know you have to touch all of these things in some way, shape, or form. What are some of the exciting things that you see coming up for Orange County?
So let's back up a little. Property appraisers throughout the world are the largest collector of data. Our field appraisers go out, we electronically get information, and we gather all this data. So we are the disseminator of information. So that's the first thing. Secondly, we can see the growth coming. We can see what's been in the past. We can see the present, and we can project the future pretty well by way of looking at permits, by way of looking what's in the pipeline. So all of these things we can do tremendously well with data, and we do it well in Orange County. So to give you a little snapshot of what I'm talking about, in 2012 when I took office, the tax roll was about $115 billion. Today the tax roll is about $190 billion.
Wow.
Tremendous growth in all three of the sectors that I mentioned: commercial, residential, and tangible.
And that means building. This means these are things that's increased that much.
Yeah, it means building, and it also means appreciation of property. Double digits since I've been in office every year.
Wow.
And what we have done in 2015, from 2012 to 2015, was doing a complete analysis of the entire tax roll and really call apples apples. That was not done in the past. There was a lot of properties that were underassessed, and bringing on the qualified appraisers and having the expertise as a property appraiser, we were able to ensure that everyone was paying their fair share from the appraisal perspective. We also put a compliance piece in there, which is, of course, homestead exemption fraud, auditing businesses, and also agricultural classification, and ensuring that everyone paid their fair share. Last week, I should say, we made a milestone announcement. First property appraiser in the world to put back $1 billion on the tax roll.
Wow.
And that was what we covered. So we're doing tremendous work in this office as property appraiser for the Orange County taxpayers.
I mean, it's obviously your passion. I love the fact that it feels like everybody wants to come to Orlando, right? It's not just Disney.
Yeah.
It's not just Universal. People want to come in here. They want to bring their businesses. They want to invest. They want to move here because they're tired of the freezing cold weather or the craziness. What do you see as far as residential? Because we have a lot of realtors who are out here. So in the residential market, because you do have your finger on the pulse of that too.
So there's a tremendous amount of growth in the residential sector. Just drive around Lake Nona, houses are popping out of the ground every day. The three hot areas in Orange County, of course, Lake Nona, Horizon West, and that I-4 downtown Orlando corridor. A lot of infill is going on there. But we've got a tremendous amount of growth in areas that's non-traditional, areas like Apopka, areas like Winter Garden, areas like East Orlando. These are areas that were very stagnant in the past. But because of the scarcity of land, because of the opportunities to expand, these areas are popping up tremendously. So there's a lot of growth in the residential sector. New construction, commercial, residential, and new construction in Orange County is historical. Last year we did $4.3 billion of new construction.
Wow.
Think about this. That's $12 million of new construction every single day in this county.
And is that residential and commercial?
That's both residential
and
both,
commercial, right?
Yeah.
So you can see it. You can sense it when you're driving on I-4 and you're maneuvering around and you're trying to figure stuff out. And you look and you see all of the growth. You see the building. You see what's happening. If you drive, Lake Nona is absolutely growing leaps and bounds. But I think that people are trying to figure out, okay, what does that mean for? And I know this isn't your topic. I'm just saying it out loud. Schools, and how are we addressing all of the growth? And
well,
so
you bring a very important point. Last night I was watching the Magic lose. They're going to win the next game.
They're going to win.
Last night I was watching the game and I was chatting with a friend, and he said, Rick, do you realize by assessing the county and taking the tax roll from $110 billion to $190 billion, the effects you have on schools, the effect you have on police officers walking the streets, the effect you have on infrastructure, because the excess from 110 to 189 billion from proper assessment and from growth and for accurately assessing is where the excess of money is derived. So if
talk about that. That's interesting.
So
give more detail, because you said police officers, fire
safety. Fire safety. So every aspect of growth is generated through your property appraiser, and that's something that's often go unseen. It's often go unheard of. So if you don't have a property appraiser that's properly assessing these properties and determining the value and watching the growth and making sure that everyone pay their fair share, then two things have to happen. Either taxes have to go up, and taxes have not gone up in this county, or value have to go up to determine that. So again, if the value goes up and if the same millage is applied to that, then of course you generate more tax dollars. So that's a sense. So your property appraisers have an intricate place in all of these attributes being contributed to the county.
That's so fascinating, because that's such a big topic. Like, we need more safety, we need more police, because as the county grows, you have to have that growth to handle all of the residents that are here and that are flowing in, and of course you've got all the transient people who come in. There's so much that they have to do. So the fact that the assessment itself impacts that is huge. I did not know that.
Let's take the $1 billion that we put back in Orange County from compliance last year. That generates $20 million in tax revenue.
Wow.
$20 million. What could we do with $20 million as taxpayers? We could build 4 elementary schools. We could build 4 elementary schools. We could put a tremendous amount of officers back on the street. We could get 3 fire trucks or fire safety programs, right? Infrastructure could be built with $20 million, could be enhanced. That's just one little aspect of what we do at the property appraiser's office.
So you're really important to the budgets that go on.
I say property appraisers are generator of funds. We generate we're the generator in the whole process. Because again, if you don't have the revenue, you have to apply a millage rate, and if you don't have the factors to apply that millage rate to, then you're raising taxes. Taxes have not gone up in this county significantly in a long time.
I'm glad you brought up millage rate. So when I post stuff, people then send me questions. Can you please just 101 a millage rate for us?
So a millage rate, I'll give you an equation, a very simple equation. If you need $100, if you have $100 in terms of stuff, you have $100, and you need to generate $5 out of that $100, you need to apply a factor. That factor is the millage rate. So you would apply it as a factor of 0.05 or whatever that is. You would apply that to the $100, and that's where, if you have a budget in a county and the budget is $4 billion, you would apply a factor from the $190 billion to determine your tax revenue.
That's fascinating. All right, so what's up next for Rick Singh? I'm just curious. I don't know this. This is why I don't do any research, because I can actually the questions would be as surprised as you are when they answer. But when is your term up? And I don't even know how long your term is.
So my term, I was elected in 2012 and subsequently re-elected in 2016. And my term ends in 2020. So next year, I'm no longer property appraiser, unless I decided to run for re-election.
I was going to ask. That's actually why I asked the question. Is there a term limit on that?
There's a 4-year term, of course.
4 years. Okay, so there is. So
yes.
All right. Well, that's what do you do for people? Okay, so you've given us all the great information.
So let me back up. Is there a term limit for the property
yes.
appraiser's office? So there's a 4-year term, and right. Can you run more than 1 term? Yes.
Okay.
So I could be, I believe, property appraiser. There are 4 terms. 4, so 16 years.
Okay.
Someone could be property appraiser.
Because I know
Not
Orange.
Me. I don't choose to be property appraiser. 16 years.
What? Okay, that's good.
So.
That's a hint there. The funny thing about that is that's Orange County's like that. Like yes. Mayor Dyer doesn't have a term. Like there's no amount of terms, but Mayor Jacobs had her. She ran out.
She was 2 terms. So again,
people get confused by that.
So that was not constitutional officers had no terms. So we were very much like the city mayor. But we now have 4 terms since I got elected. I don't know how that happened, but there was some shenanigans going on. So we've got 4 terms, which I think is fine.
So somebody just brought something. I love when we get little information snippet. While you're looking at that, but tell them a little bit. Rick is doing an amazing job. Lydia Pisano, who just ended her term as mayor of Belle Isle. She's amazing. Tell us what do you do outside when you're done with all of this? And you and I both go to like a million events, right? Yeah. But there's also our downtime. So people want to get to know you a little bit. So what do you do downtime?
Ted, I'm sincerely honest with you when I tell you this. I don't have downtime.
People don't believe me. I really don't have downtime.
I don't play golf because I think it's 4 hours, and I love sports. I'm a pretty competitive guy, but I just don't have the time. You know, I go to events. You know, I work. I'm the 7-Eleven guy. You know, I work from 7 to 11, and you know, I work on the weekend. There's always an event. You know this. There's all you see me at these events.
Oh my God.
There's always something to do. So finding the downtime is, you know, I love to travel. I love to spend time with my wife and kids, but I don't get enough of it. So that's one of the sacrifices of public office. When I was in public and private sector, I had a lot of downtime. But public office, you don't have a lot of downtime.
But you thrive. What I love about you out at a public event, at any event, is that you're accessible. I think a lot of immediately people can talk to you. You're not. People are afraid a little bit. It's funny about for anybody in public office, they're afraid to approach. Yeah. But you really go in. When you go into an event, you are making yourself available to people, and I think that's so important. Because
I love people, man. I'm a people's person. You know, I love people. And I enjoy meeting people, hearing their stories, and making them feel important. You know, that's more important to me, to make someone feel important. And people are genuinely interesting, so I enjoy people tremendously. You know, it's often said, to know a community, you must serve a community. And I firmly believe that. To serve a community, you should know a community, I should say. And I firmly believe that. So every opportunity I get to meet someone and to hear a new story and to meet a new friend and to, you know, I take that as a blessing. I take it as a blessing.
Well, you're very gracious too, and he didn't know I was going to say all this positive stuff, but I watch you at these events, and so I had somebody actually come up to me at one of the recent events we were both at, and they saw us talking, and after I walked away, they said, "Oh my God, is that Rick Singh?" It was very sweet, right? Like really heartfelt, and I said, "Well, yeah. Do you want to meet him?" Because it's not you. It's just people are they're a little bit leery of embarrassing themselves in front of a public official. And what I told them is, "Oh my God, he's so accessible. Go up." No, you introduced me, Ted. I said, "No, I want to watch you go up." So this person went up to you, and you were gracious, and you took a picture with them. But I think that's what's so important about our area here, Orange County, Orlando. Our public officials really do care. And they really do want to hear from you. They want to engage with you. They want to be part of the community.
Yeah, I commend all of my colleagues for that. I see it with other colleagues also. Mayor Demings. I was going to say Sheriff Demings. Mayor Demings.
I almost said Sheriff Demings the other day.
Yeah,
too.
all of our public officials are very gracious also. So I must commend them on that. But it's a people's game, you know, and it's a people's business. And if you don't enjoy people and like people, you should not be a public servant.
Amen to that. All right, so we're going to share all of Rick's contact information, not his personal one, but you can get a hold of him at the office. We're going to share the website link, everything you could possibly want to know. And honestly, they're so incredibly responsive. They want to hear from you. They don't not want to hear from you.
Yeah, you know, Ted, I know customer service is so important to me in this office. Come to our office. The average wait time is 1.5 minutes. Unheard of in business, let alone government. If you call our office, the average wait time is no longer than 30 seconds. You should be on hold. Awesome. Engage us on social media. Our office is located at the SunTrust Tower, 200 South Orange Avenue. You can call our office, 407-836-5000. That's 407-836-5000. And of course, we're available on the web, www.ocpafl.org. And again, it's the most popular website in the world, Property Appraisers.
And if you see Rick at an event, walk up to him, say hi. I promise you're going to be thrilled about that response because his accessibility is awesome. All right, any parting words of wisdom for them? Anything you want to share before we head out?
You know, the best advice I got in life was from I believe it was a 10th grade teacher, and he said, always be honest with yourself. You know, always be honest with yourself. And that's so important. To me, that's so important. To anybody that I meet, I always impart that to them. Be honest and truth with yourself. And then you could be honest with the world. You know, that's my parting words.
It's awesome. All right, great job. Of course, had no doubt in my mind. Thank you for coming on episode 350. 350. Thanks for the beautiful lady behind the scenes.
Minnie DeLuca,
absolutely awesome. I love Rick Singh. I love everything about what you're doing, and I
Thank
love
you.
how you're out in the public and engage people. We'll see you guys back here. Thanks for being on 350. Rick.
And remember, I'm not just the Orange County Property Appraiser, I'm your Orange County Property Appraiser.
Nice. All right. Mwah. We love you guys.